All right, we are live. Ladies, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do this. What's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to another session of the God the Cloud podcast. My name is Will. You guys already know I'm the host of this show, the number one Polynesian podcast in the world. Oh, wow, let's get it, y'all. What's up, everybody? As you guys can see, we have some beautiful Micronesian ladies joining us on the panel for tonight. We have some great topics and discussions. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can see some of you guys already tuning in already live on the show. Thank you so much for your early support. For everybody out there that's tuning in for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for showing some love for tonight's show. And of course, to all my subscribers out there, to the people who follow my channel, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. You guys already know what to do. If you love the content, smash and press that like subscribe button real quick so you get notifications every single time we do go live. Don't forget, this is a public show, so I always appreciate you guys always in your live comments and feedback on the live chat. So let me know what you guys think of the live chat and the different topics that we're gonna discuss tonight. Definitely show some love, and of course, if you recognize these beautiful ladies, definitely show some love to these ladies on the live chat. Let me know where you guys tuning in from, and show some love on the live chat for you guys who are tuning in right now. Don't forget, this is a public show. So if you guys are not familiar with my content, I do allow people to come on and be part of the podcast. So we'll post a public link on the YouTube live chat. I know some of you guys have reached out to me on Instagram. You guys wanted to be part of tonight's podcast. So I'll post it on the YouTube live chat. If you're watching this from Facebook or Twitch, you have to come to YouTube. I'll pin it to the top of the screen, and you guys be able to click on that link and join us and be part of tonight's discussion. As you guys can see, we have some room for you guys. So ladies and gentlemen, come and jump on and be part of tonight's podcast, especially for all my supporters out there. And of course, I do know that I do have a lot of haters out there.
How dare you?
All right, so so all my haters, whether you agree or disagree, I invite you guys to be part of the discussion. Even if you disagree, I like to have conversations with people who have a different opinion, who may disagree with my views, and I like to engage in dialogue with you. So to all my haters out there, people may disagree. I invite you to be part of the conversation. Click on that link, and I challenge you to come on and be part of tonight's podcast as well. Don't forget the super chat donations. I appreciate you guys always supporting financially with your pockets. Every single financial donation will be reinvested back to my podcast. I will be launching my podcast studio at the end of this year, going to 2023, and I'll be having in studio live guests, real live guests, and in studio podcasts. So thank you so much for you guys been supporting my whole YouTube journey. Thank you so much for everybody out there. If you have a specific question or topic that you guys want us to discuss, or you want a response from one of these beautiful ladies, ask it through a super chat donation. I'll be able to prioritize and ask it to the ladies, and you get a live response from them and what they think about your question or topic. So shout out to you guys always supporting me with your pockets. Thank you so much for all your love and support. But that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. Thank you so much. First and foremost, shout out to the ladies for taking the time to be part of tonight's podcast. Excited to have you guys on. And as you guys can see, as you guys tuning in, we got some beautiful as you guys can see, we got some beautiful Micronesian ladies jumping on up to tonight's podcast. Excited to have this conversation and dialogue with them and talk about relationships tonight for tonight's podcast. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time. Excited to have you guys on. But of course, some of the people watching this right now may not know who you are. So, ladies, if you guys can go ahead, give yourselves a quick intro, your name, your age, what do you do, and what's your relationship status. I'll start with you, Kaycie. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kaycie. I'm a fourth-year student at Portland State University, majoring in business management and leadership. Um, yeah,
How old are you, Kaycie?
I'm 22 and I'm in a relationship, 6 years relationship.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much, Kaycie. Thank you so much for jumping on, be part of tonight's podcast. Excited to have you on. All right. Let me pass it to you, Island Girl. Island Girl, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hey, my name is Mary Kate, but my Insta handle is IslandGirl4575. I'm 26. I'm currently an in-home CNA for families that have kiddos that have special needs. So I do all the in-home stuff for families. And I am currently not in a relationship, casually seeing a couple people, but yeah. single.
All right, no worries, no worries. Thank you so much, Island Girl, for jumping up for tonight's podcast. Excited to have you on. I see you two wonderful on the live chat. He said two wonderful. Said shout out to the 503. All right, all right. All right, no worries, no worries. Thank you so much to wonderful being on the live chat. We have a great show for you tonight. And of course, everybody that's watching this right now, show some love in the live chat. I know you guys are watching this right now. All right, show some love in the live chat. Let me pass it to you, Lou. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
What's up, everybody? My name is Lou. I work for JP Morgan Chase. And I like to say I'm 25, but I'm a little older than that. Old enough to drink.
Oh, worries. And what's the relationship status, Lou?
I am seeing someone right now.
All right, nice. All right, congrats. All right, thank you so much. All right, Lou, thank you for jumping on be part of tonight's podcast. Ladies, thank you so much for the lovely introductions. I'll definitely drop the links for all the lovely ladies tonight on the description below, so you definitely follow and support them as well. But ladies, let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and start the podcast. And I see Daniel Lopez on the live chat say, "Yes, sir, you go, sis."
Hey, what's up, brother?
All right, thank you so much for being on the live chat for the first time. Shout out to you, Daniel Lopez. And don't forget to like and subscribe, Daniel. We got a great show for you, man. So definitely tune in and watch the entire podcast. We got a great show. Like and subscribe to the channel. And much love to you guys, all everybody on the live chat. Don't forget, I'll post a public link on the YouTube live chat pretty soon. And so if you guys want to jump on, be part of the podcast, definitely click on that link and join us. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And but nevertheless, without further ado, ladies, let's get right into it. Ladies, I have a hot topic to discuss tonight. It's a topic that I always see a lot of people talk about, not only in life, but also in social media. So I saw this video that kind of went viral on TikTok. So I'm going to play this right now. They're talking about relationships dynamics in modern 2022. And I'll definitely pass it to you, ladies, and ask you guys what you guys think about the conversation that they were having. So let me play the video real quick. I'm going to put everybody on mute. So if you guys, so that way the audio and video quality is a lot better for the audience, so they watch the video. So, and of course, as they're reacting, everybody, if you're watching this right now, as they're reacting to the video, definitely let me know what you guys think on the live chat, and let me know what your reactions are. So let me play the video right now. It's about almost a minute, and you will watch the video, and we'll come back to the live stream, and I'll hear from you ladies what you guys think about the video. All right.
Think about it. I'm giving you my last name and a family, right?
Exactly.
If you're not wife material, why the hell would I wife you? Oh, fuck you. String you along for years. I'll never wife you. Oh,
Right.
why would I? Think about it. So, all right. There's some chats here.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Let's say you went to that interview with the postal office, right?
Oh, here we go.
And you went in there and you had some shorts on, you know what I'm saying? And you were wearing a low cleavage tank top or whatever.
Right.
And you just were being yourself. Would they give you the job?
No.
Okay. You had to present yourself in a certain way to be able to get the job. You had to be a presentable candidate, correct?
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, ladies, when you're trying to get a guy and get locked down, you're applying for a job, which is the wife. You have to audition properly and put yourself in a position to get hired by that man. Because best believe, if he's actually attractive, there's a bunch of fucking applicants. And we don't want people that are attributed to our corporation, aka that last name, that are bad employees and making us look stupid, because you are representation of us.
All right. So that was a video I saw that went kind of viral on TikTok. It sparked a debate between everybody, between men and women on the live comments. Pretty much what they were talking about, the topic that we're talking about is, if women want to get married and want a ring from a man, want a long-term commitment, do they have to act like a wife? So obviously, we live in 2022. We have something called hookup culture. We have something called casual dating. I know all of us are Pacific Islanders. You know, we come from cultural backgrounds, and for me, I grew up in a very traditional perspective and cultural upbringing. So I have a very traditional perspective when it comes to relationships and marriage. But I know, today in 2022, there's different dynamics of relationships. There's traditional, there's modern dating, there's casual dating. But ultimately, for most people, especially for a lot of women out there, they still want to attract a good man, a good husband, and want to become a wife. So, but yeah, ladies, I've had podcasts before with other women on this podcast, and I've heard it from other ladies in the real world that they can act however they want to act and still want to attract a good husband and a man in a relationship. There are some people out there who have a different opinion. You know what? if you was a man, if you want to attract a good quality woman, you have to be a good quality man. If you want to attract a wife, you have to become a husband first. If you want to become a wife and you want to attract a good marriage, then you have to act like a wife. It's you can't have your cake and eat it too. That type of that quote. So what do you guys think about that subject? Do you think that women, if they want a ring, if they want a marriage, if they want to become a wife, do they have to act like a wife, or they can just do whatever and then they can still attract that later on in their life? It's good. I want to hear what you guys want to think about the opinion. And of course, just read some live chats real quick from everybody out on the live chat. I see Kyle, Vin, the CV, US guy here. Are there issues in Micronesian culture about these topics? Hey, Kyle, if you have a specific question, definitely ask it through a super chat donation. I'll definitely make sure that we can talk about the topics through a super chat donation. And shout out to you for being on the live chat. But let me pass it to you, ladies. Let me know what you guys think. I'll start off with you, Island Girl. Island Girl, what do you think? What do you think about the topic? Do women have to act like a wife if they want a ring and a marriage from a man?
So I'm a little biased to this because I'm semi-freshly out of a relationship, and this man wasted my time for 4 years, and I was doing all the wifey things. I was putting in all the effort for him to be like, no, I didn't actually want any of this. Like, I don't want to be married. I don't want to have kids. You're good enough to date, but not good enough to marry. So, like, I don't know. My whole perspective on this is, like, changing at the moment. I very much am a believer of, like, you attract what you put out. So, like, I guess I don't know. I feel like somebody's going to match my energy. And if I want to bring that aspect into a relationship, then, like, I'm going to put that out there. But,
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Island Girl. Let me pass it to you, Kaycie. Kaycie, what do you think, Kaycie? The women have to act like a wife if they want to ring and attract men to marry them.
For me, I would not assume. I would think that I'm a catch.
Right? I know what I bring to the table.
So I'm a catch. Like, it's not I need a husband. It's a want for me. So it's knowing that I'm a catch. So if you want to wife me, then show me that you're qualified, because I know I'm qualified. So if you're not there, then we're not there. And it's more of like, oh, if you need something, you have to act. Because acting is just like acting to get what you want, and then you're just like, oh, done. We're not acting anymore because I'm married. And then it gets boring at that part. But I would think it would go both ways, because you would want to marry somebody because you love them, not because you see what they do for you, because that would be just a service to you.
Okay. All right. I know worse. Thank you for sharing that, Kaycie. Let me pass it to you, Lou. What do you think, Lou? Do women need to act like a wife if they want to get a ring and get married from men?
So I'm going to be brutally honest from my own experience. I've been married. I got married at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty much based off of our culture, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm Chukis and Pohnpeian.
Hey.
Shout out to my Chukis and Pohnpeian people. But I got married so young because when I finally told my dad who I was dating, and so with Micronesian females, I feel like we date secretly until we're ready to tell our parents who we want to be with. And if once we tell them who we want to be with, it's like, that's it. That they'll think like, oh, that's who you're going to marry. Is that who you're choosing? Because, okay, he needs to come ask for you. And that's basically what happened. That's why I got married at such a young age, because once I told my dad, like, hey, Dad, I think that this guy is good for me. He goes to church. His family is all about church. They're all about the culture. And he's like, are you sure this is the one you want? And I was like, I mean, I'm just telling you because I feel like it is. And just right there, he was like, he needs to come ask for you. And I was very hesitant on getting married because I was so young. Like, I was young. And anyways, long story short, within 3 months, they came to ask for me. And it didn't work out after about 4 or 5 years. And I feel like me talking about it is good for whoever's watching, because when you get married so young with our culture, you don't get to know that person really well. And when you don't get to know that person really well, it ends up where I'm at. Well, now I can talk about it because I'm not hurt anymore, you know. But it took me a long time to heal from it. But I do want to touch on the subject that, like, within our culture, once you tell your brothers, your dad, basically your dad, because your dad is like, oh, that's my princess, like, who's this talking to my princess, this and that, right? But yeah, within our culture, it's hard to not it's hard to just date, because you cannot just date and then tell your brothers, because you want to know that this person is for you. You want to know that they will get along with your brothers and sisters, siblings, whatever. And you want to know that they're a family person, and that if you're bringing them into your family, you want to know that, hey, this person will, connect with my family too. So, I was driven by love, of course. And what my dad said, I was like, you know what, I'm going to honor what my dad said because of the culture. They came to ask for me, all this and that, but, it didn't work out for certain reasons. And it hurt me in the long run. But, I don't know. I feel like, just like the girl said, like, if you connect with their energy, if you know that they're a good man, if you know that the family is good people, it does drive you to be like, yo, this is the one. Like, yo, this is the one. It's like everything you ever wanted, yo, this is the one for me. And then you end up telling your parents, but then I just feel like if you don't take the time to really get to know the person, like really spend time with them and live with them too. But that's the tricky thing. You cannot live with them in our culture without them coming to ask for you. So it's very, I don't know.
All right, no worries. All right, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Lou. Let me read some comments real quick. To Wonderful said, I'm 50-50 with that video. Some men will marry any attractive woman, maybe because they never dated a woman like that, or they just want a trophy wife. All right, no worries. Thank you for sharing that. To Wonderful, Kyle from Twitch, watching this all the way from Twitch. Shout out to Kyle. Thanks for being part of the live podcast all the way from Twitch. Shout out to you. Why is it the responsibility on the woman? Both parties need to please the other, be sexually compatible, and share their life goals. I do agree, Kyle, but that's just the topic for tonight. So that's why we have a conversation, and you can find out as we go more in depth. Definitely like and subscribe, Kyle. Thank you so much for being part on. And then I see BL17. Hey, ladies. Hey, Will. Hey, what's up, BL17? Thank you for jumping on. Be part of tonight's podcast. And I think Kyle had a question to Lou, if you want to answer it or not. He said, how young? When you got
22.
married? 22. Oh, that's
I mean, I guess that's not too young, but
yeah.
I think it's still young.
All right, no worries. Yeah, I mean, it's still young. I was thinking like, 18, 17 or,
no.
But no worries. That's still young. That is still young. All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Lou, for sharing it. But ladies, I do want to open up for open discussion. So obviously you had a chance to hear what everybody else had to say. Anything you want to add on to what somebody said? You want to either you agree or maybe something you want to reply to what somebody said? I want to open up the floor real quick. Island Girl, anything you want to add on or reply to?
I'm definitely. I feel what Kaycie said. I mean, obviously, me and Kaycie are friends, so we talk about this frequently. But like, it's definitely a combination of like having your standard of self-worth and like knowing what I bring to the table and making sure that somebody is compatible with me. But obviously I'm going to put in that effort, kind of like what Lou was saying. Like, if that person is like somebody that I'm truly interested in and wanting to like build something with, like, obviously I'm going to put in that effort and like, I'm going to put in the little extra wifey business, to be like, yeah, no, I'm serious.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Island Girl. What about you, Kaycie? Anything you want to add on or reply to?
I just wanted to say to Lou, thank you for sharing your story. That I know that I could not imagine how that felt, but I could see that it really made you who you are today. I really appreciate you for sharing that.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kaycie. And Lou, anything you also wanted to add on or respond to what Kaycie and Island Girl?
No, they pretty much, covered all of that.
No worries. All right, no worries. Yeah, thank you so much, ladies, and shout out to everybody in the live chat. Let me know what you guys think. Always appreciate you guys being live, participating on the live chat. Always appreciate what you guys think. And of course, I just posted the public link on the live chat on YouTube. So if you guys want to jump on, I see some of you guys already on the live chat. Kyle, looks like you have a lot to say. Come on, Kyle, click on that link, Kyle. come on down, Kyle. Let's have a conversation. Jump on and be part of tonight's podcast. And definitely want to hear different perspectives and to jump on. But hey, I have some questions for you ladies real quick. So I know Kaycie, all you ladies have different experiences. But ladies, do you guys, at the end of the day, do you guys still believe in marriage and you still want to marry one guy and make sure you guys grow old together?
Yeah.
Is that something that you still want later on in life?
I know for me, I'm 22 and I'm still figuring out like what I want. And I watch a lot of like love podcasts and like I've learned a lot about monogamy and like what people are like doing nowadays. And it has come to me of like, do I want a love life or do I want a life story? Do I want a love story or a life story? Because it's two, and I just now learned that it's two different things, because a life story would be somebody that I would create life with, somebody that I would marry. But sometimes love and creating life with somebody, it doesn't come in one person. The package is like missing, and like you always had to have that. I'm curious, like I want to find what's out there too. But I'm also like, okay, wait, what I have. But then I'm also like, am I settling for less? But marriage to me right now is I'm very young and I want to find myself. I want to travel before I could like see the idea of like marriage. But being married would have to be like definitely like a big impact on my life for me to be like, oh, okay, I want to settle down with this person, because I'd always feel like I'm good on my own, like I can do this. I'm doing what I'm doing, and I don't feel like I want to make decisions for somebody else's too, or somebody having control over me. So for marriage right now, it's a no for me.
No, I mean, I don't mean right now, Kaycie. I'm just meaning like later on in life, like you want to make sure.
Later on in life.
Yeah, at the end of your life, when you're 80, 90 years old, like you want to be with somebody, one person for the rest of your life.
He said 89.
Specifically.
Okay, I probably want to be with somebody when I'm 89.
Yeah. So all you ladies, at the end of the day, like I said, we all have different experiences and we have our own lives. But at the end of the day, the ultimate end game for all of us, for all you ladies, you want to find just one good man, a man that that makes you happy, and a man that brings all the things that you're looking for, to that way, and you guys can grow old together and build something together, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So my question is, so all you guys do believe in marriage. You guys do want to become wives, and you want to attract a good husband one day. Can you guys describe to me what is a good quality husband, and then again also describe to me what a good quality wife is? I just want to hear what that means to you. Let's start with you, Island Girl. What do you consider a good quality man?
Put me on the spot. So I'm gonna phrase it in like a good quality partner.
Uh-oh. She froze.
Oh no.
No worries. We'll definitely come back. We'll come back to you, Island Girl. Let me pass it as she fixes that real quick. That's her connection. Oh, there you go. You're back. All right.
Back.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna phrase it as like what I see in a good partner, because I am like bisexual, so I am interested.
Oh, okay.
And so for me, it doesn't necessarily have to be a man to like be my partner. I'm usually drawn to men, but like generally speaking, as far as a partner goes, I'm generally super attracted to like great communication, a good sense of humor. Like if you can make me laugh and like our personalities match, because that's what matters long term. Like, yeah, there's an initial attraction that comes with like dating and stuff. Obviously you caught my eye, but like that stuff fades. You know what I mean? Long term, it's like I want to be able to connect with you on an intellectual and emotional and spiritual level. So like those are big things for sure. Like being able to be my support when I'm not 100%, and me being able to do the same thing for you.
Okay. All right. I know some of the men are asking. Someone just sent me a DM right now on Instagram. He's watching this right now. Do you have any? What's your thoughts on, like, I know you're bisexual, but just for the men out there that's watching, what's your like qualities for a man? So if you have to, it's just qualities that you consider like a good quality man.
For men?
Yeah, for men. Yeah.
Confidence without being cocky. I feel like is a pretty solid one when it comes to men. Like, yes, I want you to be able to like take charge and be confident in who you are, but like also like I can do shit. Like I'm an independent. Like know when to balance it.
Okay. All right. And then what do you consider a good quality wife? Like, what is a wife? What is a good quality wife?
A good partner. I mean, I feel like for me, it's the same quality for both partners, because like it's a partnership. It should be 50-50 and it should be equal as far as like one person supporting the other. For me, as far as being a good wife, like acts of service is my shit. Like that's my love language for sure. So like I'm going to be out here doing stuff for you because I care about you and I want to lighten your load for you. And like that's how I show I love, but that's not everybody's love language. So
All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Island Girl. I see Shiro Alakoa on the live chat. Shiro Alakoa. Hi, Lou. Big fan.
Aww. Love that.
All right.
I love you, Shiro.
Shout out.
Fuck.
Shout out to you, Shiro. Thank you for being on the live chat tonight's podcast. Shout out to you. Definitely don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. Shout out to you. Let me pass it to you, Kaycie. Kaycie, same question. You know, what do you consider like a good quality man or husband? The type of man or husband that would make you want to settle down forever?
I like priorities men, people who prioritize their career, people who are like more focused on themselves to like be better for me. That's really attractive to me, and I like that. Like that's a good quality when somebody want to do better for me. A good quality for wife is somebody who's independently can support emotionally and physically, financially in times of need, and like be a service to their husband.
Okay. All right. No worries. All right, no worries, Kaycie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kaycie. And I see to Wonderful, he said Lou got a larger fan base than Joe Biden. Okay. No worries. No worries. I see Jolix in the live chat. Just her, bro, be a good quality count and entertain her. All right, no worries. Whether you agree or disagree. I know for all my Democrats out there, sorry about that. That's a Joe Biden joke right there. Hey, but I'm gonna say he is hilarious. Sometimes he is some things he does. It is funny sometimes. But thank you for sharing that, Kaycie. Let me pass it to you, Lou. Same question. You know, what do you consider a good quality husband? Husband material, and then the same thing. What do you consider a good quality wife?
For me, a good quality husband is someone that takes their time to understand you, love you, not only you but your family. That's a big thing for me, is like if they take their time to spend time with your brothers and your sisters, your mom, your dad. I feel like that's so important because you don't want no drama, right?
Yeah.
Like you want the families to come together
The
for like
acceptance.
holidays. Yes. So not only that, but just because I've already been through it, I always went the extra mile for that person, and I never really got it in return. Like I would, I traveled so far across the oceans for them, but when I would go back to visit my family, it was always just me. And I just feel like now where I'm at, like I am seeing someone, but it's like if you don't, you know how island girls say 50-50.
Hmm.
Before I did agree with 50-50, but now I feel like it should be 100-100.
Dead ass. Okay, yeah, I hear you.
It should be 100-100 no matter what. Because I feel like even culturally, within our culture, it should be 100-100. Like we will be there to nurture you, love you, you know, this and that. But I feel like it goes both ways. Like we both can make money together. We both can, build an empire together. But we have to have that same mindset. So for, and then, I mean, it goes hand in hand. For a good wife, it goes hand in hand. 100-100. I feel like if it's 100-100, it's going to work out no matter what.
Effort, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, no worries. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lou. And also, I guess the last question I want to ask you, ladies. So now you guys explain what you guys consider a good quality men. Now you guys explain why you consider a good quality women or wife or husband. So to go back to the question, the topic that we brought up, do women need to act like a wife to attract a ring or marriage from a man? So do you guys agree that if you want to attract a certain result in your life, especially when it comes to something that's good quality, then you have to act a certain way and make certain decisions to attract the very things that you want out of life? Or can you just act whatever and don't really live a life that's disciplined towards what you want out of life and expect to get the things that you want out of life? Because just like success, right? Example, like if you want to be successful, there's certain habits and traits and things you have to do. And that's why people succeed. And the people who don't do those things, that's why they don't attract success. So there's a certain sacrifice you have to do to attract the things you want. So do you guys agree that if the women out there that say, you know what, I want a good quality man, I want a man that's a husband, I want a man that's going to meet all the things, all my expectations and things I look for him to provide for my life. Do you guys agree that that means that you have to meet the certain expectations or certain things that in order to attract that type of man? Do you guys agree with that, or do you disagree? Because I do think that if you want something in life specific, you have to make the decisions and act a certain way and make the sacrifices to get what you want. Life, you don't just, life isn't given to you. You earn the things you want in life, right?
Absolutely.
So is it fair? Is it fair for what? Because I do hear a lot of women that will say, I want a good man. I want a man that's going to take care of me. I want a man that's confident, ambitious, and listed all the things that you guys just mentioned. Yes. But then when I look at their lifestyle and I look at the choices they make, their decisions don't show me that they want the things that they want or they say they want. So you say you want this, but your lifestyle and your choices say you see something, say a different story. So I want to, I want to start with you, Island Girl. So go ahead, Island Girl.
I'm itching. So I feel like everybody's idea of what they want their marriage to look like is different for everybody else. So I feel like, as far as what you say is like me looking at somebody else and deciding whether or not they're wifey material or not, like that's completely unrelated to whether or not I'm holding myself to my own like wife standard, because I'll act like the wife that I want to be, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I'm out here hustling, working, building my whole life. Like so my partner's not going to expect that from me, because that's the wife like that I'm acting like, because that's the wife that I want to be. But plenty of women out there that want to do that and want to like work that way, Okay. My wife's goals are not somebody else's wife's goals.
Okay, no worries. All right, thank you for sharing that, Island Girl. Let me pass it to you, Kaycie. Kaycie, same thing. Do you think it's? Do you agree? What do you think? Go ahead.
I do think that you have to walk the talk to be able to
Yeah.
Yes.
to
Period.
because if you want something, you have to like act and like live a lifestyle that will create that.
Yeah.
So I do think that you have to like act a certain way to get what you want.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Kaycie. Let me pass it to you, Lou. What do you think? Do you think that if you want to attract a good man, you have to act a certain way and live a certain lifestyle to attract what you want? Do you agree?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I feel like whatever you know, whatever you put out there, whatever you see yourself as in the world, however you love yourself, you will attract the same person. I agree with that 100% because I took the whole past year to just focus on myself and just learn how to love myself again. Because, you know, when you're hurt from a relationship or whatever it is in life, sometimes you isolate yourself, yeah. But when you take your time to really love yourself and figure out what you want in life, you know, whatever it is, I feel like whatever you put out into the universe, it'll return to you like 100 times fold, or however you say it. Whatever that quote is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're a good person, when you have good intentions, when you live a life with, you know, with love, loving people, loving yourself, you really cannot truly love someone without loving yourself. And it took me so long to learn that. But if you actually, I know it's cliche to say this, but if you actually take time to just learn what you need to do, learn what works for you, what makes you happy, what brings you peace, then you can attract that person for you. I promise you, like I went a whole year just focusing on myself. You know, there was times where I would cry myself to sleep, this and that, but if you just learn how to love yourself, you'll learn how to love other people, even your family, whoever, friends, coworkers, whatever. If you love yourself, you will attract that. Once you learn how to love yourself, you will attract that person that loves themselves too. Like I know it will come to you. That's
All
my
right.
point of view.
All right. Facts. All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Lou. I see it's Lucky on the live chat. She said on the live chat the first time, walk the talk, period. All right.
Period. Lucky, what's
And
up,
she said,
Lucky?
Lou, it's like a shout out to you, Lucky.
Hey, love you guys for tuning in, bruh.
Shout out to you. Yeah, thank you so much for being part of tonight's show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget I post a public link. So if you want to jump on, be part of the conversation, click on that. And of course, Too Wonderful said, you reap what you sow. All right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
What
All
you
right.
put into it.
Well, yeah, what you put into it is what you get out of it. Right.
Yes.
So ladies, so yeah, okay. So we all agree for the most part. So I want to ask you, ladies, you know, I have this conversation with men all the time. And I also have a podcast I do with other men, and we talk about the problems that a lot of men deal with, because sometimes I do see a lot of weak men, but they'll complain, I want a good quality woman, I want a wife that supports me, I want a wife that's gonna be there for me. But then when I look at the behaviors and the things in their life, they're not making the best choices to become better men. So as men, you know, if we want to attract a good woman, if we want to attract a good wife, we have to become good provider protectors, become good leaders, become ambitious and confident, give our wives the best life as possible, and make sure we're accountable, responsible, and make sure that we're resilient, you know, to make her feel safe, to make the children feel safe. So these are things that we talk about all the time with other men if we want to become men. So, and if they don't do those things, then those are things that if you do things that are opposite of those decisions, you're probably not gonna attract the type of woman, or you're not gonna attract a good quality woman. So I want to ask you, ladies, real quick, what do you guys consider certain decisions that, you know, obviously do you guys all have that one friend that you see that always says, I want a good man, I want a husband, but then you look at her lifestyle like, are you serious, sis? Are you serious? Like, I see what you're doing. I see the choices you make. I see the type of places you hang out with. I see what you do on the weekends. I see your social media profile, right? So So I want to ask you, ladies, real quick. What do you consider things that women do, even though they say they want a good man, but you see these are the type of behaviors and choices like sis. You're not going to attract a man if you keep repeating these same actions or keep living this lifestyle. So let's keep it real, ladies. Let's keep it real honest on this podcast. That's what we do. But yeah, what do you consider things that women do that if you do, like, you're probably not going to attract a good man if you make these certain poor choices in your life? I'll start with you, Island Girl.
Ooh, you had to come to me first. Whew. I feel like I don't know. I'm on such far end of the spectrum because I feel like I'm the taboo that people are like, nah, like, can't do this. Like, I want to hear from them and then come back.
Okay, I got you. I'll come back to you. All right. So I'll pass it to you, Kaycie. So Kaycie's the question was, a lot of women out there saying they want a good man, a good husband, but their choices doesn't align with what they want. So they're making poor choices for their life. So what do you consider poor choices or bad qualities to have if you want to attract a good man?
I have 2 points. One, from a cultural perspective, is that if my aunts are on here, I do apologize. For my aunts, a lot of them are very bossy, and that's just us. But I see that when it comes to their relationship, when they're unhappy, and if they see like the person that they're with is like cheating, they're like, "Oh, you cheating? I'm gonna cheat on you back," and it creates like a trend that the next person comes when they do something wrong, they do it back, and then they always think they deserve. I deserve this. I shouldn't be doing this so much, and I'm like, you're the things that are like occurring to you is because you're doing it. Sorry, auntie. And I see a lot of my aunts do this where it's kind of like a defense mechanism. When they see something happening to them, they want to do it back instead of like, oh, I'm gonna step out. This is not good for me. I'm a bigger person and I'm gonna do this to attract this other person because this is way better than revenge or doing it back. That's one thing that I see, that to attract like a good husband, you have to like think bigger instead of like how to hurt this person at this moment that's hurting you. That's one for me. But my second point is that okay, I lost my train of thought. What is the question?
No, what are poor decisions or bad traits for women to have to if they want to attract a good man?
Okay, my second thought is, from an American way, is I wouldn't say it's poor or like a bad way, because I also party a lot, and I see like girls that are like so nice, so attractive, they can like attract good men, but when they like dress too hot, wear like tight dress that shows their curves, it's like, oh, you a hoe. When in reality, they're like good people. And that's also like something that I think men should, like, don't judge a book by its cover. Look inside, what's inside. Read the first few chapters, because not everything you see is what it is. But going out for like most of my friends, even though they're good people, it kind of also sparked that, oh, you're dating this girl, she goes to clubs every Friday night, she not a good wifey material. But in real life, like, we're just out here trying to live our life,
right?
It's not a bad thing. We're just out here, like, I'm out here in LA trying to live my life, okay? But if I want to be a good wife, I will be.
Yeah.
All right, no worries. Thank you for sharing that, Kaycie. And I see you, Chai Durazo Leilani, and Tale loves you, Lou. All right, shout out to you.
Lele, Tale. We love you.
All right. Don't worry. And man, Lou, you got the fan base in here. Shout out to all your fan base and all your followers. And of course, Shiro Alikoa said, "Is it true? Happy wife, happy life."
That is true. It is true.
I do not like. I don't believe in it.
100, remember 100. Happy
No.
wife, happy life, happy husband, happy
Yeah,
life.
that's the thing. Happy relationship, happy wife, happy
There you
husband.
go.
Not just a happy wife, but there could be a miserable husband.
Right, right. It has to go hand in hand.
Exactly. So that's why I gave that sound. Anyways, thank you for everybody on the live chat. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate it. I appreciate all your support. But let me pass it to you. And Kaycie, thank you so much. You made some good points, Kaycie. Let me pass it to you, Lou. And don't forget, I haven't forgotten about you, Island Girl. I'll come back right back to you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lou.
Sorry, what were you talking about again? I'm kind of lagging. I don't know if.
No, you're good. So, we were talking about what are poor choices women make or bad qualities for women to have that doesn't help them attract them, that doesn't help them in their life to find or attract a good man.
So, going back to what Kaycie and Island Girl said, like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with partying and like living your life. Like, of course, people are gonna judge you firsthand, right? Off of that. If you put it out there, like say I'm partying and I'm posting it all over my stories, they're like, oh shit, she's a fucking party girl, this and that, and oh she's this, like, oh she's a hoe. But no, like, we're just out here living life, like we're good people. I mean, for some people that may be like, maybe that's them, but I feel like, yes, like whatever you do put out there, that's what you're gonna attract. And like, I mean, we gotta be real here. Everybody is judgmental. So whatever, because social media, like everybody looks at social media and that's it. Because I mean, what we're connected to social media. Like we just look on social media, scroll. Oh, this person is that. This person is that because of whatever they post on their story. So I feel like if you truly want to attract someone good for you, you're not going to post all that stuff. Like, I feel like you can keep some things private, and you don't have to post everything. Like, if you really truly want someone good for you, you're not going to post that kind of stuff. But genuinely, it comes with that pure intention. Like, if you whatever you put out there, we gotta know that people are gonna look on your social medias and they're gonna judge you off of whatever you post, regardless of who you are, regardless if you're a good person, regardless if you have a good heart, if you're loyal, this and that. They're gonna judge you off of what you post. So if you truly want someone good for you, you're not gonna post that stuff, right? But like, if I feel like everything, like, you attract someone in person, right? Because like when it comes to long distance, like let's be real here, Micronesians date off of social media. Like they see someone pretty and they're like, oh shit, who that? Like, let me get at her, let me get in her DMs, this and that. And then you end up talking to so many people and you're just like, you really don't know the person. You could be talking to anybody that's not even them. So whoever's watching, please do not look off of social media unless you meet them in person. Meet them in person first and then go off of that. So yeah.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lou. And let me pass it back to you, Island Girl. Go ahead, Island Girl.
I think I'm ready now. I had a minute to think. So kind of building off what you guys said though, like it really comes down to balance. And like I had this conversation with my nieces and stuff because they're getting into that age where they're like in middle school and high school and whatnot. It's like, yes, you have the choice to wear whatever you want, independent woman, your body, your choice, but you still have to operate in a society that works against you. You still have to operate in a society that isn't safe for girls, So yes, you can go out on the weekend and live your best life, and you can post it on your story so everybody can know. But like, you also have to do that with the grain of salt of like, you know, this is what I'm putting out there, you know. And as long as that sits well with you, then like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it comes down, there's a balance. And as far as like other qualities, at least for me, like if you're out here not willing to work, not willing to put in effort, not, you know, as far as a relationship goes, like you just want things handed to you, like that for me, that's a red flag. Period.
Period.
I do want to add something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do think that, well, based on what you guys say, it's more of like, if you want to like attract somebody, maybe not post everything. But yeah. I will be completely honest, I do disagree with that point, because when it comes to me, like, you're gonna get the fool. Like, I'm crazy. I like this toxic shit.
True.
I want somebody who, like, when I bitch at you, you can bitch back. Because if you're gonna apologize to me and be like, so you don't care? So I do think that being true to yourself is like, it really like show people, because once they're in a relationship and then you started like those glimpses of you that you hide would like start popping out, they'd be like, oh, this is not the person that I came into a relationship with. Like, what is this side of you? But it's never a side of me. It's part of who I am. So it's always nice to like come forward with everything, because at first they show off. No, next person in line, like, don't hide that part of you that's like crazy and like, I'm gonna do this. Definitely show it to that person, because if they're not strong enough to take you in all your baggage and all your craziness, toxic and shit, maybe they ain't for you. Maybe. But I know that you're asking for like bad qualities. I can name a lot of like good qualities and like that people would assume that are not good qualities for wifey materials. But at the end of the day, I'm still 22. I'm figuring this shit out.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, whatever,
True.
if it sits good with me and it's part of who I am, and like that's what I put out there because that's who I am, like
That part.
You know, like put it out there. There are pieces of
it or leave it.
Me, but
take it or leave it.
Right? I'm me. Period.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, ladies. So thank you for sharing that, ladies. Thank you for your answers. Let me just read some live comments real quick for everybody on the live chat. I think Too Wonderful said, the way a woman presents herself by the way she dresses, the way she acts around people every day, the way she carries herself, and are some indicators to finding a strong, good man. All right, thank you for that comment. And of course, Shiro Alagoa said, guys that sings attract girls.
That is a very
little spice on top.
A little
cherry on the cake. Yep.
Cherry.
All right. Yeah. Obviously, that's why like all the big celebrities who can sing. That's why they attract a lot of women. But yeah. I just want to say some things because I took a note of some of the things you guys said. I think one of the things I heard you guys said that we shouldn't be judged. We shouldn't be judged by the choices we make, especially what we put on social media. I think for me that's just life in general. Life, perception is reality. I think part of life is understanding that whatever you put out there, and you guys mentioned before, what you put out there is what you're gonna attract back into your life. And I think in the real world, even though shouldn't we judge people and get to know them before making a judgment? I mean, that's the utopia type of world, the fantasy world. But in real life, we judge people every single day. We all do it. I do it. That's just a matter of life, especially when it comes to dating and relationships. And when we meet people and we want to go into a relationship with somebody, we are always going to judge the person that we love the most and we want to get in a relationship the most. That's the person we always going to judge harshly Unless your feelings are involved, then you kind of ignore all the red flags. All right, but I think that's just part of the life in general. I think if you don't want to be judged a certain way, if you don't want to be looked at a certain way, I think that comes down to you to taking more accountability in your life and more responsibility. You know what? I don't like how people see me this way. I don't like the negative perspectives or feedback I get from a lot of people. What can I look? How can I change my choices in life to make sure I don't attract that certain level of perception from people? I think that's something you just gotta take it within yourself. But I know you guys mentioned some things about why you guys think that bad qualities are pro choices. But I want to give you guys some things. So these are my conversations with men when we have these conversations about women, about marriage, and what we don't look for in a woman to marry long term. And of course, this also is a reflection of the data. They do studies on this. They do scientific research. This kind of intersexual dynamics to find out what men and women are looking for. But I want to hear what you guys think about this. But these are the top 3 things that I hear from men, and also what the research says, the things that they don't consider wifey material. The top of the list is they would say a woman that's very promiscuous, multiple sexual partners, or expresses her sexuality for all men to feel, for the whole world to see. So for a lot of men, biologically for men, that they want a woman that reserves her sexuality and her access to her body to himself. Because for men, we're more territorial with our woman. We want to save that woman for ourselves. We don't like to share with other men or other people. That's number 1. Number 2, from talking to men, they said that they like a feminine woman. They like feminine women. They want to date a woman, the nurturing, caring, loving, kindness, the softness, compassion they get from a woman. They don't want to date a very masculine, bossy, competitive like your aunties. You cheat, I cheat. All right. So that's a very competitive mentality, and then that's more of a masculine trait. That's more of what men do. Men compete more. Men are very inherently more ambitious and more assertive, more disagreeable. So they like a very feminine, submissive woman. This is what most men want. And then I think number 3 was they like a woman that respects a man's boundaries and their standards. So obviously for women, you guys have your standards of what you want out of men, and of course the men who really want to become a woman and he wants to become your man, he has to work on those things to fulfill your standards and your expectations. But also women also need to understand that men also have standards that the men are looking for. So if women don't respect our boundaries and our standards as men, and I think one of the things that men always talk about when it comes to relationship is, if you want a strong man, if you want a man to lead you, you have to allow the man to lead. So sometimes a lot of women, they go in a relationship with a man, but they don't allow him to be the man. They don't allow him to lead. So they kind of emasculate him in the relationship. So, but those are the 3 things that they mentioned: was promiscuity and how you dress. I think 2 wonderful mentioned on the podcast, how you dress yourself. Like, if you dress very provocative, if you dress like a whore, or if you dress like a look like that you only there for fun, then a lot of men would judge that negatively because we don't see that as something long term with the wife. But I want to pass it back to you, ladies. So you guys had your list of things that you don't consider wife material. I just gave you guys things that a lot of men, and a majority of men do. Of course, there's always exceptions, but most men, these are things that we look for in a wife. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts about that? I'll start with you, Kaycie. What do you think?
I'll do say that, no hate, some men are very weak. They want to, well, when you say like they want like a feminine, there's a lot of way I can like go off of that, because in some men that I see, they want a woman who is not very opinionated, who listens and be kind and say yes, no, yes, no. I will say you will not find that here. And also like I do agree with like how you dress, because I will see like some girls like, girl, you at a family function, that's not the right attire. But I will do say that some men, I'm really sorry, very weak, because they want to lower my self-esteem so low to keep me where I'm at, because that's like she's very bossy. She has her own opinion. She disagree with everything I say. That's pretty much describing me. But here I'll say like I have my own opinions. If it doesn't like go both ways, if I don't like it, why would I do it? If you're telling me something, I shouldn't say yes, no, ma'am, yes, no, sir, yes, no, yes, because it should go both ways. Like if I want it, you have to want it. If you don't want it, then we'll maybe compromise, meet at the middle. But some men in my culture, it's like you do this, and then we're like supposed to, okay, yes, sir, I'll do it. That's the feminine that they want. Somebody who's kind enough to like, if you come, okay, I will help you, expecting nothing in return. It shouldn't be like that.
Okay, let me ask you, Kaycie. I mean, you talk about like a lot of men don't want a woman that's opinionated. No, we don't have a problem with women with being opinionated. It's just we want a feminine woman, and you can be feminine and still have an opinion, right? But there's a difference between having an opinion and being very combative and very disagreeable. So the thing is, if a feminine woman by nature is going to be very cooperative to a man's leadership, right? But if you want a man to be a leader, so that's the only caveat. So do you want a strong, ambitious, a man that's very decisive, that's not the man that's very confident in his decisions, that he's very career oriented, and he wants to be a leader in your life. He wants to take the responsibility. Look, you know what? I'm gonna make sure I take care of you. The responsibility of your family, I'm gonna put that on my shoulder. He wants to play that leadership role. Is that the type of man that you prefer and want?
I do, but I can also be that man.
But
that's where it like contradict me, because I can also be that. It's not a I need. It's kind of like a bonus. If you can be that, please be that. But I can also be that. That's where the conversation doesn't align with me, because I also know that I can also be that.
But that's I guess that's where the conflict is, right? Because if you want a leader, by definition, there can only be one leader, right? There can't be two leaders. So women who are very combative are it's kind of challenge that. So that's why for a lot of men, that's why I mentioned the third thing. They prefer a woman that's going to respect his standards. So if you want me as the man, so if I'm a man that's working on myself to be the best man I can be, to give you the best life, and I want to play that role in the relationship, and you don't allow me to play that role, that's going to cause issue in a relationship. When I could be with a woman that, you know what, she allows me to play that role. She can be very opinionated. I would love to hear her opinion, because like I said, there's certain things there's also women also bring a lot to the table intellectually. And there's certain things I'm lacking intellectually that you can provide for me. But so you can add on to me. Hey,
are you asking me that in a way that should only be one leader? Or am I supposed to allow him to be a leader, or to be that person to like take care of me?
What I'm saying is, if you want a leader, right? If you want a leader, and that's what you want, you have to allow him to lead. Because it's like, for me, I'll give you a perfect example. If I had a company and I hire a CEO, and I bring the CEO to come to run my company, but I tell him, you know what, I want you to be the CEO, I want you to run the company, but I'm gonna do things my way. What's the point of hiring him in the first place? He's gonna be like, why did you hire me? You give me the title, but you don't give me any of the responsibility. So that's how men feel like for a lot of women, that they say they want a leader, but you don't give him that responsibility. So he just feels like, I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm worthless. I'm like, what's the point of me doing this relationship? So you can be opinionated, but if you want a man, a very confident, ambitious, a man that wants that leadership and very accountable and responsible, he wants to play that role. But if you don't allow him to play that role, that's why a lot of times those men will just move on and find a woman who's still opinionated as you, but they're more submissive to let him be the man. Does that make sense to you?
It does. I will say I do not have an answer to this question because I also can play that role. Actually, I play that role. So I don't have a question. I don't have an answer to this question.
No, yeah. It's like if you were a feminine woman and the man came up to you like, you know what, I want to play the feminine role too. You're like, well, I'm the woman here. Like, why do you want to play a feminine? Like, you find that kind of weird, and that's what the men are saying. Is that if you want a leader, then you have to allow them to lead. But then if you don't allow them to lead, a lot of times men they just feel like it's always going to be arguments combative, because every time I try to make a decision for the family, even though that's what you wanted me to do in the first place, you're always trying to combat it or disagree with it, and it's a lot of those type of relationships always end a lot of arguments. Lou and Island Girl, what do you guys think?
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I feel like it just has to the basis has to be respect, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I hear you. I know what you're saying. Like, I understand.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel like as long as the conversation is from a place of respect and from a place of like, I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm trying to understand you and work on this together as a team. You can still lead the ship, but I want to be a piece of this crew.
Yeah. It's like my previous job I worked before in my past. Like, I had a boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great leader. I looked up to him. He was one of my mentors that helped me grow as a man. But even though I'm very opinionated as myself, I'm very disagreeable. But I know my place when I talk to my boss. So I will never try to overstep and try to undermine him. Even if I disagree, there's a certain way, a level of communication that I communicate with my boss to make sure that to make sure that I still respect his authority. I think for a lot of men who want to become leaders, if you don't respect his boundary and his authority as a man in that leadership role, he feels a lot of times a lot of men they feel very disrespected. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of women who would openly yell at the man or disrespect the men in public. I've seen that all the time, and I'm sure you guys seen that. Where I've seen women who mock their men or talk negatively about their men in public, and that's a great example. Or hey, if you want me to be the leader, you have to respect my authority.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Lou? Anything you want to add on to that?
I agree with Island Girl. Like, it comes back down to respect.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said too, and Kaycie. But I mean, like, if say the man wants to lead, right, be the captain of the ship, like, I feel like it goes back to the 100. Like, let me hear what you like. What do you have? What do you have to say?
What do you think?
What do you think? But then listen to what I think too. And baby, let's come to a common ground, because it's not gonna work out if we just submit to what the man wants. Because I feel like I said, 100.
It's
Like,
not a dictatorship.
We're not here to. Like, I know a lot of men, especially in our culture, especially in because I'm Chukis and Ponapian, so especially in our culture, they want to lead everything, and that's just the truth. But like, if you find someone that's that's down to listen to what you have to say, and talk it out, teamwork, like she said, teamwork, then it'll work out that way. Because just from my own experience, from marriage to going into another relationship to this and that, like, just from what I know from my own experience, it does not work out if someone says let's do this and you're just like, okay, let's do that, but really you don't sit down. Because a lot of the times men are passive aggressive. Like, if you want to talk about something, they're just like, oh, like, in my past relationships, it was like, I want to talk it out. Like, can we come to a common ground? Can you listen to what I'm saying? Because I'm taking the time to listen to your heart. Can you listen to my heart too?
Yeah.
But I never really had that. Like, it was always one-sided. Like, okay, that's what you think. Okay, I'm gonna agree with it. And it didn't work out. Look, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And that's the truth. So I feel like right now, it's so important to come to a common ground with each other, to respect each other, to love each other, to listen to each other, to nurture each other, and just come to like, hey, okay, my man has something to say. He wants to lead the ship. Okay, baby, what do you have to say? Let me listen to you, but please listen to me too. Like, let's be a team, and let's lead the ship together, because you cannot lead the ship just being a captain without your crew, right?
Yeah.
It got to be together.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's this quote, I always love it. I remember it was one of the ladies on my podcast. She said that the men are the head and the woman is the neck, and the neck can control the direction of the head, right? So ultimately, the leader, he's going to make the decision, but you do have influence on where the direction of the decision goes. So a good woman, there's always a term, behind every great man is a great woman. So there's always a woman that supports them, lets them know, and communicates with them. And also to Lou, I know you said that in our Pacific Islander culture, a lot of men want to take control of everything. I think the better way to say that is, unfortunately, this is a hard reality. There's a lot of men who don't know how to lead. They think they're leaders, right? So they got that title or position by default, but they don't have that quality.
Amen.
So,
That's
right?
true.
So
Oh,
there's a lot of men out there who don't know how to lead, and they're in positions of leadership by default because of the culture, because of society, because of the where you live. But I think, but for me, in my experience of talking to men who have been married long term with their wives and are leaders, and they have a happy marriage with their wife and kids, they value their woman's support and they value their woman's opinion. And like any great leader, they're always open to get feedback from their team, because at the end of the day, as one person, that you're limited to what you can do, but as a team, as a group, you can do much more together, right? And any leader will like, you know what, I can't. This is my limit as a man in this area. Hey, honey, hey, babe, what do you think? Because I know you went to school for this. I know you have experience on this. Like one of the good qualities of a leader that he appreciates and values and communicates, and he knows that he can't do it by himself. But yeah, I just want to put it out there. There's a lot of men out there who don't want to lead, and that's why they need to work. They definitely need to challenge themselves to become better leaders. I think that's something we need to improve within the Pacific Islander community. And last thing I want to address real quick before I pass it to you ladies for your topics. I know you guys mentioned about clubbing, having fun, finding myself.
Finding myself. Air quote.
Look. At the end of the day, look, I don't have a problem if you want to have fun, right? I mean, I've been there. We've all done it. I'm not the type of person. I know I went through that phase. But here's the thing. I think it ultimately comes down to what you want out of life long term. And so at the end of the day, we all have fun. We go out there and party. I think for me is, I'm a little bit older now. Younger, I used to go out and club with my friends and drink and do all that stuff. But I realized when you grow older and you have a much more mature and broader perspective, you realize that these things that I may do short term, long term wise, it doesn't have any value, right? So if you want to find a relationship, especially if a man or woman, if you want something long term, you want to find a good quality partner, like you guys all mentioned here, then you have to judge people based on the decisions they make, and then compare it to yourself. Like, are these things that this person is doing, does it have long-term value? So me as a man, I don't have a problem with a woman that has fun, right? Because I like to have fun too sometimes, right? We're not robots, we're human beings at the end of the day, right? I can turn up, all right? But the thing is, for me, is like, if that's a habitual part of your life, you do it every single weekend. So for me, it's like, if what I want is a family, if I want a wife, I want to have children, I know that I need to find a woman that has a certain level of priorities in your life. Because once you have a family and you have a marriage, it does attract responsibility, right? You have to make sacrifices over your own personal happiness to make sure that I can take care of my woman, to make sure I can take care of my kids. But if you party every single week, because I do see men and women, even with men and women who have kids, they still party every single weekend, right? So for me, and I've seen it all. So for me, it's like, when I see you party, okay, it's a one-time thing, every a couple months here and there, that's fine. You're living your life, we're all human beings enjoying fun. But if you're doing it every single day, from the men's perspective, when they see women like that, they're like, is that the type of mother that I want for my children? Is that the type of woman that I want to trust my woman, that she's going to prioritize the children over her personal happiness? I think that's just for me of how I see it. And I think the same thing for men. If you as a woman want a strong leader, if you want an ambitious man, that you want a man that has a goal, has dreams, provides you a great future, you don't want your man partying every weekend. You want him to be working on his goals, on himself, to become better communicators, to become better leaders, become better men. And that takes time of effort and sacrifice. So if it's a once in a while, you see a guy that's parties, have fun with his friends, great. But if you see him in the club all the time, he's always posting pictures of partying and drinking all the time, then you kind of see where their priorities at that point of their life. So I think for me, it's just, at the end of the day, what do you want? What do you want long term? And you have to ask yourself, are the decisions that people are making, do they have long term? What kind of value do they add long term? And also, are those decisions, does that reflect the type of person I want to marry long term? And I think that's just my issue with the clubbing and having fun. It's all good. We all do it when we're young. But then as you go older, you want something long term and committed. And especially if you want a family, it is going to require a certain type of maturity to be a good mother, a good husband, and a partner. And I think there's a lot of people out there that, hey, you know what? I know I want to. That's something I want long term. Let me start putting in the work now, so that way I'm prepared later on in life. But a lot of times, most people, they do everything's reaction. Like they make decisions, either they get pregnant or something happens, and now they're put in that position to finally become that parent when they could have worked on those things a little bit earlier. But that's just my standpoint on it. I mean, and then they live your life. But I'm just saying it's yeah, you have to think long term. I think that's for most people. But there's some people out there like they're thinking long term, like they want to plan for the future. They don't want the past. You know, they saw some bad things happen in the past, or they don't want to fail the relationship. So they'd rather prepare for it. And I think for me is like it's very attractive for me when I see somebody that exhibits all the character and traits and decisions that I would see in a woman that I know, oh man, that the way she acts right now is the type of the person I want to see long term, and that's the type I want to go with. All right. Any last things you guys want to respond before we move on to your topics and questions? All right. Kaycie, how often do you party?
I party when I can. I work 60 hours a week, so I party when I can.
Hey, do you? No worries, do you?
And right. I'm 22. I'm trying to make all that mistake till I'm mature.
Wait, Kaycie, you don't have to make the mistakes. That's the point. That's the point of this discussion. You don't have to make the mistake.
There's always somebody telling me, don't do that. You're going to do this. I want to do that so I can experience it myself. Then I'll know, okay, that's not that. Let's not. I don't party a lot. I promise.
I can attest. She does not.
No worries.
I go out party and everything, but I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't do all that stuff.
You just socialize.
I just socialize. I like to go out and dance because that's a way of me tuning out my thoughts.
Hey, this is what I tell women all the time when I meet. Hey, look, if you don't think, if you don't, I always tell women that if you find yourself a good man, that the parties is gonna be better later when you have a good man that can take care of you. That's what I was gonna say. You know, if you because we can always party, but I think when you find the good things in your life. But yeah, everybody on the live chat, thank you so much. I see Komaru Fresh from Twitch. Hey, Micronesian, shout out to you.
Yes.
Shout out to you, Komaru Fresh. Thank you so much for being part of tonight's podcast. Thank you so much. And I see TL. What up? Hey, TL, thank you for jumping on. Being part of tonight's podcast. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much. But ladies, let me pass it to you guys. I know you guys had your topics. We started with that topic and we ran right into it. Sparked a lot of conversations, but I do want to talk about things that you guys want to talk about to conclude the podcast. Let me start with you, Lou. Lou, what's your topic? What's your question? Bring it up, and we'll open it for discussion with the ladies. Go ahead, Lou.
I did have someone, because I did a little poll question on my Instagram before I hopped onto this, and I had someone ask me, like, what do you guys think when it comes to our culture, especially being like the oldest daughter or the oldest son, you know, within what role you play, the treatment you receive, you know, as well as being a man, being a woman, especially being the oldest one, because I am the oldest one in my family. So what do you guys think? I mean, please.
Okay, all right. So
like,
what are your thoughts?
Tips or just in life?
Within our culture, within life.
Okay.
Go ahead, Island Girl. What are your thoughts?
So my culture experience is like a little bit different, I feel like, than a lot of people's. So my bio fam is Chukis. But I was adopted by a white family, and so raised in Oregon, little podunk Salem. But then I was also raised like side by side with Kaycie's family, basically. So like I still had that cultural influence, but not as firsthand as I feel like a lot of people do. But I mean, I still like through cousins, through everything, you know, I see the dynamic as far as like the expectation and the like, what's that called, where it's like it's different for one person but not for the other. It'd be like if the younger or the older boy cousin wants to go out or whatever, it's like, yeah, he can go out whenever he wants, but like the girl's like, no, you got to do your dishes, you got to do this and this and this, and then like maybe you can go out, I'll think about it, like you know what I mean. And it's like the whole dating thing, like Lou touched on, like I could never like the thought of me dating is nothing, but like the guys can go do them, go be promiscuous, go have 13 different girlfriends, you know.
All right, no worries. Thank you for sharing that, Island Girl. Let me pass it to you, Kaycie. Kaycie, what do you think? What do you think about the older's expectations on the older sibling in the culture?
You're still muted, babe.
Oh, Kaycie, you're on mute. There you go.
What are the expectations on like the older siblings?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like, you know, the older siblings have a lot of expectations on them. What do you think about that?
I do think it's like unfair sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But the older sibling is like, it's like the first tryout for like your parents, because they're also like learning like, okay, how do I raise this child? So like a lot of their like struggles and hardship falls on like the older siblings, and that's how like what the older siblings, we can carry so much shit because like we've been through it with our parents. We're learning to grow up, and then our parents are learning to raise us. But sometimes it's also like it's not fair because I'm expected, like my parents right now expect so much from me, and it's always, it puts a burden on me, like why do I have to be the one to break all these generation curses? Like why do I have to be the one to be a billionaire? Like somebody else needs to do it.
So true,
This is so much work. And then when there's family function, it's always like, Daisley, we need this amount of money. I also go by Daisley, so sometimes I refer to myself as Daisley. But it's always like, it's a guarantee, because when they ask me, it's always like, a Daisley got it. Why?
Because we're hustling because we're the oldest. We're doing shit.
You got to.
They never ask the youngest though.
Yeah, it's like it's a maybe with my brother. It's a maybe. But for me, it's like a Daisley. We don't have cash power. Okay. Like, I work just to pay for school. I still need to pay their cash power.
Why yo?
All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Kaycie. I think Shiro asked a question. Kaycie, do you drink water?
I do. That's a random question, but I do.
I know. Too Wonderful said, I was an elder sibling in my family, and it's ruined past relationships for me. And TL said, I was the youngest when my OGs raised me, adopted out to them, but I'm the eldest in my bio family. Had a very interesting experience on both sides of the fence.
Right.
All right. So I'm gonna share my thoughts before I pass it back to you, Lou. For me, I'm the youngest in my family. But here's my thoughts on it, and I know because I've had these conversations with other Pacific Islanders before who were the eldest and they felt all the expectations. I do agree with Kaycie, especially for parents and people get married at a very young age. Oftentimes, the oldest child is the experiment child, right? You test it out to see, to figure how parenting works. What works, what doesn't work, and then you learn from the experiment child and change and change and give your younger siblings a better upbringing because you learn, okay, this doesn't work on my oldest child. My oldest child is acting out, making bad decisions. You know what? Maybe I should do something better to parent my next child, and of course, so on and so forth. So for me, I had a perspective where I got to talk to my older siblings, and I learned from their mistakes and kind of being the youngest and kind of made some different life decisions for myself to kind of take a different path. But I know my perspective comes from I know sometimes people will say it's unfair, but I think for me, life isn't fair. That's just part of life. It's not fair, but we have to deal with it and move on and keep moving forward with our life and keep making sure that if we want a better tomorrow, to make different decisions today. But I think ultimately it just comes down to, at the end of the day, our parents, regardless of what we think about what they did or how they raised us, I think for me, we just got to understand that our parents raised us the best way they know how. And whatever experience you have, whether you're younger, whatever you're older, and of course, I think the reason why they give the older children more expectations and put a lot of burden on you and responsibility, I think innately within any parent, they want their children to live a better life. I think every parent wants that. I think if you want to have children, you want them to do better than you. You don't want your kids to live the same struggle in life that you want. And sometimes a lot of parents, they live vicariously through their kids, and they want their kids, you know what, I never went to college, and I never, I had to work, low income jobs my whole life. I want my kids to be the first one to get a college degree. I want my kids to be the first one to break the generational curses within our family. So I think a lot of times our parents have a lot of regrets and things that they didn't see. But I think it's a natural response of any parent. You know what? I had some bad things in my life. I want to make sure that my kids had a different life. But I think, and of course, I think it also comes down to survival. We have to survive as a family, and then if the oldest kid, we'll have to share that responsibility. I think that's just part of it. That we have to make sure that we pay the bills. We have to make sure that we have to take care of the family. So unfortunately, you have to take that part of that role. But I think that's oftentimes I think that you have to understand, if we see it from a point of view like why did this happen to me? I think that's how you have the conversation. Like, it could be very negative, but if you look at from a perspective, why this happened for me, so that way I can change something, so that way I can live a different outcome. And I think I just have to have understanding that our Pacific Islander parents did the best they can to raise us, however how you were raised. And every single parent, especially Pacific Islander parents, especially if your parents are immigrants. If your parents are immigrant, they moved out here. I think sometimes when we have this conversation, we forget the sacrifices our parents went through. And my parents are immigrants, and I know they put a lot of expectation on me and on my kids, but then sometimes we forget that our parents had to move here, start a whole new life, learn a whole new country, learn a whole new language, had kids, found a job, found a way to become legal citizens, and they worked their way up and gave us the life that we have now. And sometimes we think as children that we have a lot of expectations, but sometimes we forget, man, think about the burden our parents went through. So I think that's just my viewpoint. I think part of life, it is what it is. We have responsibilities. I think part of the natural responsibility of being an oldest child, that you're going to be the experiment child. It is what it is. And
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's just, it is what it is. And then, like I said, they're gonna put a lot of responsibility, because at the end of the day, as family, we have to survive. We have to make sure that we figure out a way to take care of the family, and that's part of the role of being the oldest sibling. But the thing that we can do is learn from it and make sure that when we have children, that when I have the oldest, I think we should find a different way to still keep those same expectations, but not in a way where they feel overburdened with our oldest child will feel the exact same way that we felt or you felt being the oldest child. But not only they see the responsibility as a burden, but they see it as something that's empowering. You know what? I am the oldest child. Let me become the best oldest child for my siblings, for my younger brother and sister. Let me be the example, because I do know friends and family members who are the oldest children, but they accepted it and they learned to handle it in a very positive manner, and they became a good inspiration for their younger sisters, their younger brothers to look up to. and it had a positive impact within not only their parents but the community, but the family. But let me pass it back to you, Lou. Lou, what do you think? I know that was
Man,
your
I
question.
agree with. I know I agree with everything everybody said, even
Yeah,
you, Will. But that's true. Like our parents, we are the experiment child, right? We're all. Are we all the oldest in? I mean, except for you, Will. You're the
yeah,
youngest.
I'm the youngest. Yeah,
Okay, especially being the oldest girl, like all the
Mhm.
expectations are like, whoa, up to heaven.
yeah,
But yeah, I do feel that we are the experiment child. So like I feel kind of bad when it comes to my younger siblings. Like I have three brothers and one sister, and now that they're all in a relationship, and I just know that my sister wants to get married, and I just know my dad is like saying, oh, like, you want to get married? Do you see what happened to your sister? And it's so unfair, right? Like before that shit hurt me. Like when I hear that kind
yeah,
of stuff, even if I don't hear it, I know that's what's being said
yeah,
because it didn't work out for me. But
yeah,
like everybody has their own experiences. Like the thing is, like, our dads will always be protective over their girls, their sons, whatever. But I just feel like everybody has their own experiences with relationships, and I'm pretty happy to see like my siblings in good relationships, and I'm just over here like, let me find somebody the same way. But I don't know, like, I agree with everything everybody said, and it is like they make so many sacrifices. Like my mom and dad came straight from Chuk. Like my dad is half Pohnpeian, but they're both Chukis. So they came from Chuk to Hawaii, and then Hawaii to like the mainland to give us a better life. And the thing is with my dad, like he's like, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you're married or not, make your own money. And like he instilled that into me all my life, to where it's like even when I was married, I was making my own money too, but I was also supporting him with his dreams and goals at the time. But man, like when you grow up in a family where your parents are telling you make your own money, like be independent, this and that, it really just depends on how your upbringing, right?
Mhm.
But if you can differentiate, like, from your experiences or whatever what you're going through in life, and just know what's good for you, what brings you peace, what brings you happiness, but at the same time knowing that whoever you do bring into your life um will connect with your family too. Like it's just healthy all around, because you don't want to deal with bullshit or drama or any of that. But yeah, I agree with. Yeah.
no, I totally agree because being the youngest, my parents used to always tell me, "Hey, don't be like your stupid brother. Don't be like your dumb sister." Like my parents would use the mistakes of my older siblings and tell me, "Hey, don't do that. Avoid avoid that."
Yeah.
So I mean, but like I said, for me, it's I don't think that's not anything wrong with it. I think that's natural.
Yeah, it's
Like that,
natural.
if you have dumb friends, you tell your other friends, "Hey, don't be like that dumbass over there."
True. That's
Right,
facts.
right.
And don't
So
get me like I've definitely had moments where it's like I forget sometimes that like my younger sister, I'm like, why can't she handle this? Or like, why is she making it like such a big deal? Like just do it, because I've had to do it my whole life. But I forget sometimes some people's like rainstorms are like huge thunderstorms to them, but they're a little drizzle to me because of my life experiences. But it doesn't make it any less for them.
yeah,
But
and also for me, like I never had my relationship with my older brothers. I never had type of relationship where I think they inspire me to I had to figure things on my own. Because I know some older siblings who make a lot of bad decisions, who don't inspire their younger siblings. But I know some older siblings are a great example, and they have a great inspiration for their younger ones. So for me, I would have loved to look up to my brothers and my older siblings. And, oh wow, like these are good examples for me to look up to, and I can try to emulate their life and become a better person. But it is what it is. I'm not, it is what it is. What happened, but I think it's a positive. I think it's a positive thing if we can nurture your older sibling to be that great example in your family, so that way your younger siblings can look up to your older siblings, and I think it's a positive feeling impact for the younger ones. It's coming from the younger perspective. Um, let me share some final comments, some live comments real quick. I see Chickstar19, first time on the live chat. Shout out to you. Do you think there's a double standard between being the oldest son versus the oldest daughter? Oh, that's a good question. We'll come back to that. All right, good question. All right, Joshua Nadelic, shout out to you.
Bro.
Being the eldest experimental child is always difficult for anyone, and I don't know that the struggles sometimes can be voiced. But looking back, all the struggles you would you swap places with your siblings? All right, and I think Daniel Lopez said you want to be like him, her island parents. I don't think that's something that's only specific to island parents. I think all parents do that. I think it doesn't matter which culture you come from. I think it's a natural human instinct to do that. All right, but I think Polynesian parents we can be very tough. Tough love. The tough love. But anyways, shout out to you guys on the live chat. Definitely drop your comments. Always appreciate your feedback on the live comments. And don't forget, this is a public show. So click on that public link. It's posted on the YouTube live chat. It's pinned to the top. If you guys want to be part of this discussion, click on that link and come on and jump on with us to conclude tonight's podcast. But Lou, that was a great question. Gave us some flashbacks for a lot of us, whether it's positive or negative. It is what it is. But let me pass it to the ladies. Let me pass it to you, Island Girl. Island Girl, what's your topic? What's your question? And we'll go right into it.
I don't know how to word it, but I want to talk about dating outside of your culture and like what kind of like influence, impact, yada yada yada.
So dating within the culture? Is that your question?
Outside.
Okay. Dating. So you're saying dating outside the culture, so out of the traditional norms of dating. Okay. All right. So let me pass it to you, ladies. Kaycie, since it's your best friend's question, I'll start with you. Kaycie. Kaycie, what do you think about dating outside? Usually Pacific Islander culture, they have a specific way of dating, which is very traditional. But what happens if you date outside the culture, the modern way of dating that we see today in 2022? That's not traditional like the Pacific Islanders. What do you think about that?
I will say that it opens your life to the outside world, because when you date like the person that grew up and have the same value as you, as like same principle, like it's kind of, you guys connect and it's in sync, and sometimes it's not. But I'm dating a Jamaican. His name is Keith. He grew up in New York, and I came from a small island, and it's very different. Like, I learned so much from him, and he learned so much from me, because he's from the city, I'm from the island, and it works out. And I've learned so many things outside of like my circles, because like there's so much struggles that he went through that I never knew, and like I've learned to like, oh, this is how you cope through things. This is how like you go through things and how you handle stuff. And then this is how I handle it. I was just told to suck it up and fuck it and move on. I didn't know that. But dating somebody outside of your culture or outside of like your people opens your world to like other people's world on how they see things. It's amazing. You guys should do it. I recommend.
No worries. Thank you, Kaycie. And Kaycie, if you don't mind me asking, what's the race of your person you're dating?
He's black. He's a Jamaican. He's black.
Okay.
I wouldn't say he's Islander because he grew up in the city. So, I'm more of like the island person in the relationship, because I grew up on the island, but he grew up in the city. He was just born in Jamaica.
Okay, all right, no worries. All right, thank you for sharing that, Kaycie. Let me pass it to you, Lou. What do you think? What do you think about dating outside the traditional dating of our Pacific Islander culture?
This is funny and ironic because one of my girlfriends just told me, I think you should date outside of your culture. And it's funny because like I have never dated outside of my culture. Like, okay, I'm Chickies Panapan, and I married, back then a Yapese, and that was pretty much kind of outside my culture, and I learned to adapt to his culture. But it's funny because personally, I don't think I would date outside my culture, and I feel like maybe that's what I'm missing, but I don't know because like I mean I'm older now, so I feel like I'm just kind of tired. I've been through the motion. I've been married. I've been through all this and that. That I'm just kind of like at a standpoint where I'm like I don't want to teach my culture to anybody anymore. That's just from my
Oh,
from
gotcha.
my from my personal experience. Just because like right now I just want to like settle down, have kids, and just build an empire with whoever I'm with. But it's funny, it did come like last week, probably like last week they're like you need to date outside of your culture, girl. Like what are you doing still dating inside of your culture? And I'm like I don't know, I feel like I don't want to teach it this and that, but that's just me. But I do agree with Kaycie. Like I feel like it does, you have to have an open mind and an open heart if you do date outside of your culture. And you know but that's just me personally, because that's what I'm in. With someone that's chookies. But and a lot of girls will say like, girl, don't be with that person, this and that. But it's like it's working out for me. But I can't really touch too much on that subject because I have not. I actually, let me just kind of backtrack a little bit before I did get into this relationship that I'm in. I did try dating someone that was, I don't know if he was Jamaican, but he was of black descent, and it just we did not vibe. So I did try. Like it's okay to try, girls, keep your minds open, keep your heart open to it. But if you don't vibe with it, then don't do it.
When you say you don't vibe, what does that mean? I'm just interested. What does that mean
I don't know.
specifically?
Like I don't know. I don't know. Like if our energies don't match, like we could. I I pretty much get along with a lot of people of different backgrounds. Like I
Mm.
could make friends with anybody. But when it comes to me knowing what I want in a relationship, in who I want the father of my kids to be, like I need to really, like there has to be something that we vibe, our energies, something that we connect with. Because if nothing, like nothing goes together, then I don't know, like bye.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
If
Well,
that makes
the reason
sense.
why no the reason why I ask that, because sometimes when I hear women say like uh that the vibe wasn't good, for a lot of men, like we see the way we translate that, oh, he wasn't attractive enough.
No.
That's just the
Oh no.
way.
No.
So
It's not
um
even with attraction or anything. Like I feel like a lot of the times, like my family will be like, why are you with that person? They don't even match you. And I'm like, what? Like how can you say something like that? Because it's really not, for me personally, it's not even about the looks,
The
honestly. Like
vibe is the connection.
it's
Like
the connection. Like
Yes. If we're
if
comfortable, then
if
we're
we're
vibing.
comfortable, we're vibing, if our energies match, this and that, whatever we're talking about.
okay.
If you're a family person, like you don't gotta be like freaking uh who's a hot guy celebrity? I don't fucking know. You said who? But
Aquaman,
yeah,
Aquaman.
Jason Momoa. Yeah,
No,
it would be nice
no,
though. It would be nice.
no, it's something that the guys that we always talk about among men. Like whenever we date women or we go who like us, they always, oh man, I love these vibes. But then if the guy's not that attractive, they're like, why do you like him? Then sometimes they'll be just like, oh, it's the vibe wasn't there. I mean, that's just my conversation with guys in experience. So it's interesting to hear. But thank you for sharing that, Lou. But let me um but Alan Girl, let me pass it to you. What do you I know that was your question. What do you think about dating outside the culture?
I mean, I think it's really interesting. I just wanted to hear some more perspectives and stuff on it. I think for me, my curiosity comes from like not necessarily whether or not to date outside your culture, but like if you date outside your culture, like how do you integrate it back? You know what I mean? Like how do you like introduce to the
You
family?
can't.
can't. Like it's like what?
I mean, what's your preference? What's your first option? Like, I think, what's your first option, Island Girl? Would you prefer to date somebody within your culture? Your first option?
Maybe somebody within my culture that's not here.
Like a true island.
Like,
I will say that whenever like my friends, I have a friend that is like so into like Samoan. I know that Samoans are like very clingy. I always recommend, I'm sorry, there's an airplane going by and I can't really hear myself. I always recommend my friends, like, I don't want to hate on my people. Like, I'm not raised, I love my people, but they're so lazy, so tunnel focused. It's just like, so lazy. They just want things handed to them. They want to be fed. That's not attractive to me. So every time somebody's like,
in the culture
this
here,
guy, he's
are-
Islander,
they're
I'm like,
that perspective
red
of
flags, red
candidates,
flags.
and I'm not here for it.
All right. No worries. For all the lazy Samoans on the live chat, let me know what you think.
Don't, I'm sorry.
No.
Not all the ones here.
Someone,
all the clingy Samoans on the live chat. Let me know what you think. Is that true? Is that true, Samoan?
It's
Clingy?
not bad to be clingy, but like
No, see, but like even with
like affectionate. Yeah.
it's like
it's
Clingy?
more of like,
Oh, don't try to soften it. Yeah.
no,
It
it's
is what
more
it
of
is.
like, it's more of like, we need to be together 24/7. We need to be on the phone. Please call me. Where you at? That's like, ew, stop.
for her.
For her.
For me, from that's what, like, for me, like, I don't know if people like that shit, but I'm like, go do your own thing. Like, go be better, you know?
I hear you.
All right. Got you.
But anyways, back to your question, Will. Yeah, I like to date outside. I mean, okay, but I hear Lou too, where it's like there's a certain piece that's like it gets tiring to be like explaining my whole culture every single time. Like, this is this and this is that and this is why I do this and this is what's normal and don't do this while we're here and like yada yada yada. But also I feel like these conversations that we're having aren't being had with the men that need to be had with them. And that's why it's like
facts.
Slim pickings over here.
Yeah.
And in a culture that are like open-minded and like willing to talk about this kind of stuff.
All right, no worries.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Island Girl. I think two wonderful shared clingy. Damn. Oh, yeah, I was clingy in relationships. I just didn't want my woman beating me with the broom.
Oh,
All right, no worries.
too wonderful.
Kelton said, oh, shout out to Kelton. First time in the live chat. Shout out to you.
This does not sound good.
This does not sound good. LOL.
Where you from, Kelsey?
Oh, dang, Kaycie, you got John Wick on here. John Wick is laughing. And John Wick.
What's up,
John Wick is on the live chat.
He said,
Hey, John Wick. Hey, well, shout out. Hey, I'm a big fan, John Wick. A big fan of your work. Shout out to John Wick. I love all your movies. All right, and yeah, thank you, John Wick. Yeah, I think I'm just catching up on everybody on the live comments. And it's Lackey was laughing. Didn't vibe will. I got you. No worries. Thank you. Shout out to you. I think for me, I'm not really limited when it comes to dating. I think for me, if I find the values and the values I want in my woman, and she's we have the same goals and the morals and values and things long term. I think, but I do agree with Island Girl. I think it'd be easier to be with the Pacific Islander woman because I wouldn't have to explain my culture. It'd be great to be with somebody that understands how we do things. And there's a certain things in the Pacific Islander culture that people from the outside the culture would be like confused, like why the hell do we do these things? Especially when it comes to like sending money back home, or like the I don't know, Samoans call it fa lave lave, but I don't know how about you guys call it. like responsibilities that we have to do, duties we
Or
have to
the
do,
weddings,
the weddings, the religious stuff, and all the functions,
the
all
The
fests,
funerals.
funerals, and
funerals.
stuff like that. So, it's hard to explain that to somebody who doesn't understand it. And sometimes if you're part of me, that may cause a disagreement between you two in your relationship. But if you marry somebody that's within a culture, there's a mutual understanding. You don't really have to experience that. But yeah, I think for me it's like not. It'd be cool to do that, but I think for me it's just we live in modern 2022. We're not in the islands, just people out there. If you find somebody, regardless of what race it is, it works for you, gives you what you want out of life, and you have a good relationship, and you should pursue it. Because I do know a lot of Pacific Islander women, not me personally, that they only want to date Pacific Islander men, and I think and sometimes the neighborhoods or the places they live, that's not the best quality of men in their area, but that's what they want, and I think it's kind of limiting them as far as their dating pool. Maybe you should try something different. But like I said, I don't blame them because Pacific Islander men, we're good looking men. We're good looking people. We're good looking people, y'all. The women and the men, the women and the men. The white girls they love us brown boys. So
The food, the parties. Come on now. The
so
functions.
we got some good looking people. We are a good looking race. So I do understand that point. But anyways, everybody in the live chat, let me know what you guys think. And I see Gerald first time in the live chat. When Kaycie said go do your own thing, all I heard was move the TEF. I don't know what move. I don't know what the most def. I don't know what that meant, but if you can translate that for me, let me know. All right. Nevertheless, thank you. That was a
strong
good
way of saying get the fuck out or
oh,
fuck moving.
All right. Okay. Nevertheless, thank you so much, Lou. That was a good question, good topic. Let me pass it to Kaycie. Kaycie, I think we haven't gone to you yet as far as your topic, your question. Quote, Kaycie. Don't hold back, Kaycie. I know you're whatever you conclude the podcast with. Let's have a good topic to discuss. Go ahead, Kaycie.
I do want to touch base on mental health on like the island culture. I noticed that like talking more about mental health, there's no translations in our language for like mental health. I'm always curious like why, and I always like and it's also like why do we not talk about mental health? Like it's a real thing, and then in our culture it's just like, oh, you sat, just suck it up and do what you got to do.
That's facts.
Okay. All right. No worries. So we're going to talk about mental health. And before we move on to mental health, everybody in the live chat, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. And I see some of you guys on here, but let's make sure to get those likes up. If you love the content, love the channel, helps the algorithm, helps find more people and more viewers. If you show some love, you've been enjoying, a lot of you guys have been enjoying the conversations we're having. If you want to show some love and support, please press the like and subscribe to the video real quick. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, Kaycie wants to talk about mental health. All right. So that way we can help all those clingy, lazy Samoan men get over. get their life together. Get their shit together. But let me start with you, Island Girl. Island Girl, what do you think about mental health in the Pacific Islander culture? What do you think?
It's rough. I feel like personally, like, yeah, especially in Pacific Islander culture, but I think generationally, like the generation before us, it was just normalized not to talk about shit, like across every culture. Like, so I don't know. I feel like it's hard. It's hard to be in the generation that's like 100%, at least for me, it feels like the millennials are very much like, let's talk about it. Let's go out there. Let's get some help. Let's like treat our own trauma. Let's be aware of it. But then to like come back to like home base and they're like, cut that out.
Okay.
Difficult for sure.
All right, no worries. Thank you for sharing that, Island Girl. Pass it to you, Lou. Lou, what do you think about mental health?
Mental health within the Micronesian community, nobody talks about it. Let's be real. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's a huge thing that we all go through. One topic that comes to my mind I don't know if I'm lagging or anything, but is it's very touchy, but it's molestation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that shit happens within our community and it's just brushed under the rug. Like nobody will talk about that. And this leads to relationship because I'm going to go ahead and be dead ass raw with my own experience. When I was 5 years old, that shit happened to me. And I did not experience the trauma of it until I was 10. And it doesn't make sense because if that shit happens to you when you're 5 and you don't experience the aftermath of it until you're 10, like it's because you never told anybody because you were scared, right? I mean, a 5-year-old. This is why I'm so protective over children. Like, I mean, I'm babysitting right now. They're sleeping, but it's like you got to be protective of your kids within our community, worldwide, global, whatever. But just the fact that I never told my parents until I was 18, and that person passed away when I was 10. Imagine that person passed away and I still never told them because it's like something you're so ashamed of and you don't know why you're ashamed of it when you're the victim, you know? And like I know that for young girls or young men, whatever the case may be, like it be your own family. It be your own immediate family. And these kind of things that happen to you, like these traumatic experiences that happen to you when you're younger or whenever, however old you are, it does affect you in the long run with relationships because, um, like you're like, oh, does this person really love me? Do they just want to have sex with me? Like this and that. Like, do they, whatever the case may be. But mentally, that fucks you up. It fucks you up so much that you're so scared to even like you know even fucking trust anybody. Like I can say that I have major trust issues. So if I see a red flag within a relationship or a friendship or whatever, I'm just like no thank you, I don't want to know you, I don't want to talk to you. Nothing against you, but it's just like shit that you went shit that you went through when you were younger or whenever. But like mentally it fucks you up because you don't say anything. You brush it on the rug because you don't want that person to look bad. Or if you say something, people won't believe you. Or if you say something, they'll talk shit about you or talk shit about your family. And if like your parents hold the like for example, like my dad, in the Pohnpeian side of our culture, he's like a chief. So like, do I want to say something to where my dad is gonna be whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's just like it's real shit. Like girls and boys do not talk about this shit because they don't want the disrespect to come over their family, and it just fucking sucks. But this is how it is. Like imagine I didn't tell my parents till I was 18. That person passed away when I was 10. But now like throughout my whole journey of life and just the healing process that I went through for myself, it's just like I'm so I am open minded and I am open hearted to things, like to people, but my circle is still very small because of the traumatic experience that I've experienced with molestation, within a broken marriage, a broken family with my in-laws. Like it's just so much. And you would think that like me being on this podcast is some type of miracle because I would never in a million years talk about my personal experience to anybody because I'm a very private person.
Well, thank you. We're proud of you.
Thank you. But
Yes.
because okay, I'm wrapping it up. But because I care about the young generation right now, it's just like fuck
It
it
needs to be
because
talked about.
tomorrow's never promised. So I just hope it inspires somebody out there.
All right, no worries. No, no, no. That wasn't a wrap up, but that was for shout
Oh,
out. That was like good job.
oh,
That was like thank you for sharing.
yeah.
All right, yeah, I appreciate for sharing that. Lou, I thank you for sharing that. For everybody out there that's probably going to do the same thing. Kaycie, I know that was your topic. Anything you want to add on to it? I thought that was your question.
I do want to say that it should be talked more about, and we shouldn't. Maybe our parents shouldn't make us feel ashamed of like opening up. Sometimes I live alone in the city. I live in Portland. Sometimes it can get like very lonely and sad and very depressed in the winter. And it's hard. Like I would only like call my parents, but I wouldn't say anything. Like I would just be on the phone because when I would say something, they'd be like, they would want to fix me. They were like, oh, like let's do this. When all I need is just to talk about how sad I am and how fucking depressed that I am when I'm all alone in a big city, have nobody to freaking talk to. But it's hard because they just, well, growing up, you're just supposed to like suck it up and like, oh, why are you crying? Stop crying. Like, it's not pretty to cry. And I'm just like, bitch, what the fuck? And a lot of Islander a lot of Samoan girl that I used to dance with, we talked about this mental health, and I was like, what is mental health translated in your language? And they were like, I don't know. We don't know. And that's a project that I'm working with the API forward community to like get that out there, because it's okay to go see a therapy. Oh, we're Islander. We don't do that. We just talk to our cousins. It's okay to seek professional help because it really helps you, because talking to like a therapy or like a counselor, because sometimes I would caught myself and be like, that's why I'm so fucked up, because like of the trauma. Or when something good is happening to me, I'm like, when is it gonna end? Because we don't ever express our feelings or like say how we feel, say how we want things, because we're just being told you're supposed to suck it up because we're Islander, we're big, we're strong, we get this. Like, it has nothing about physical. It's all about emotional and like what's going on in your head. It should be talked about. It should be a topic. It should be like actually be available to everybody, all culture.
Resource, maybe.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Kaycie. All right. I'm gonna share my thoughts about mental health and depression. And trigger warning for everybody out there. I have a different opinion, but I'm gonna throw it out there. But I will say this for you guys. I do because I've done podcasts before with Bits of Honors, and we talked about this all the time. I think one of the things that we often do that we forget, that we have to understand that our parents didn't grow up with the things that we know now today. So when it comes to mental health, these are things that we learn, that we know and we're aware of. But the thing is, our parents didn't grow up with that, or didn't have those conversations with their parents. So they probably don't understand that same perspective that we do. So they grew up at different times. Because sometimes I do talk to my younger cousins or my younger nieces and my nephews. Oh, my parents don't want to talk about mental health, but you have to understand they didn't grow up with that, right? So it's hard to communicate and understand something. And I'm sure that when we have kids, there's going to be a different thing in their generation that we may not understand, right? And they're going to come to you like, why don't you understand these things in their generation? Well, I grew up in my generation, so I didn't do those things that you guys doing now in the future. So it's something that's always going to happen when you went from generation to generation. But I think just because our parents don't understand a perspective or something that we go through today in our generation doesn't necessarily mean there's a lack of love. And maybe it's just a lack of understanding. And I think that's where the communication comes to play. That we have to communicate with our parents who maybe a lot better, and just be more accepting, understanding how our parents are. And that's something I've done with my parents. But I do believe in mental health. It does exist, but I do believe that I don't believe in depression. I do believe that if you have a biological problem or something within you, there's a chemical imbalance, or maybe there's something biologically wrong with you, with your body or your hormones, that's causing you to feel that way, especially when it comes to bipolar or whatever. There's a lot of science on that. I think that's I understand and I accept that. But I think for me is like, if you're a healthy human being, healthy person and you have mental health problems where you just don't feel good, I think that's just, for me, it's a lack of perspective of how you see your life. Because I think for me in America and in Western society, I think mental health, especially for healthy people, I think that's a first world problem. Because I think if you expand your mindset and your perspective, if you go outside to the like third world countries, the people who have to figure out a way to eat, to find food, to survive every single day, who live in extreme poverty and hardship, those people go through so much struggles in their life, but those people still find a way to be happy. They're not sitting around and thinking, "Oh, why am I living extreme poverty? Or why I'm feeling bad for themselves?" I think mental health problems or feeling bad about your life really comes from from a first world problem where you have everything in your life. Because I think a lot of kids who live in third world countries may look at your life like, "Why are these Americans complaining about their life? That's the life I want to live. I'm here trying to walk 5-10 miles to get water. I'm here living on one meal a day, or maybe half a meal a day, or maybe one meal every 2 or 3 days. I live in war and refugee and all these struggles." And they're probably looking at our lives like, what they're complaining about. So I think when it comes to mental health, it's just a matter of perspective. And I think one of the things that we probably don't do well, especially on the community, is the communication part. I think if you don't have the communication part, that can, especially for younger kids who may not understand the world and how it is, I think that's our job as parents to kind of navigate through that. But sometimes I have friends all the time who, everything's healthy. They're capable, they're healthy human beings, men and women. They have 2 parents. They have a house, they have food, they have shelter, they go to school. But I think for me is like one of the things in the first world country. I think the problems with the teaching mental health in a first world society is sometimes we confuse hardship to mental health. Because I think hardship is just a normal part of life. We're all gonna fail. We're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna go through days where you don't feel good. Anxiety, those are natural human emotions. Like fear, that's a natural human emotion. Anxiety, sadness, that's not mental health. That's just, we all feel feelings of sadness. It's part of the cycle of life. Is we go through ups and downs. We go through our downs, we go through our ups, but it doesn't mean something is wrong with us. I think sometimes if you believe mental health is real, especially if you're somebody that's healthy, sometimes I do see with a lot of my friends and people who live in Western society, every single time they go through some kind of form of hardship, they immediately think that they're going through a mental health problem and they become powerless to do anything about it, to move on with their life. But if you go to third world countries, regardless of the struggles they go through, they have to keep moving forward with their life because they have to survive. But if you live in a very comfortable life here in America, where you have the luxury of staying in your room all day and to dwell in your problems, while you have food and shelter and light and water, running water, you have all these things, but you have the luxury of not doing anything about it. And I think that's where our parents don't understand it, because our parents, they had to go through a lot to get to where they are right now, to give us a life we want. If they didn't have time to sit around and think about their emotions, how they feel, they struggled a lot. They came to a new country. They had kids. They live in this form. They had to build a life for us. I'm sure they faced a lot of hardships, but they didn't have the luxury of dwelling on the hardship because they had a family to take care of. They had responsibility to do. But I think that's, for me, is like, if you're going through any hardship in your life, go find good people. Go surround yourself with a good, positive environment. I do believe mental health can be a problem if you're around the wrong people. Always feed you toxic negativity and drama, and they're always feeding you, telling you that you're dumb, telling you that you don't have potential and you're worthless, and attacking your self-esteem. I do believe that's a toxic part of mental health that can cause it, that you can really have mental psychological issues if you're around toxic people. But I think if you live a decent life in this world, in a Western society, you have parents, you have people, you have friends, you have a house, you have food, you have everything provided. You're going through some kind of hardship. I think that's just part of life. I think part of life, we go through ups and downs, and just because we go through a down doesn't mean anything is wrong with us. I think for me, is just learn from it, find ways to grow and become better and move on with your life. Because sometimes I do see people I have friends who come from very bad backgrounds, but they're fine. But they're the happiest and most positive people I know in this world. But they come from divorce. They've been molested. The people that I know in my life that have gone through the worst trauma in their life, I have friends that have been molested. I have friends that grew up in poverty. I have friends, the parents that went through a divorce at a very young age. But they are one of the most positive people because they found a way to move on for the trauma to be better. But then I have some friends who have all the things that you could ask for as far as the life that you would want as a child, but they're one of the most unhappiest people. And I think that's just a matter of perspective, is that we all go through it. If we go through all those feelings of emotion, I think the feelings that we go through, if we have some kind of emotional challenge to understand, if I'm feeling fearful, where's this fear coming from? What can I do to overcome this fear? Sometimes the feelings the responses that we get, that we feel from the environment we have, that's our body telling you that the things how to respond and what you should do to move on. So if you're feeling fear, that's probably a sign like something that you probably have to do. If you're feeling anxiety, that's probably a sign for you to tell you for something. If you're feeling unsafe around somebody, that's probably something. But that's our body's natural response to tell you there's something that you need to do to move on, so that way you can get away or move forward from it. But that's just my thoughts on mental health. I just wanted to share. I know it's not the most popular opinion, and I've had these debates with a lot of people. But I do believe if something's wrong with you biologically, so your hormones or your body doesn't work the right way to make you feel good, I think that's acceptable. But I think if you live a good life, if you live a decent life, you're a healthy human being. I think if you take a look back to look with your life and compare it to most people in this world, and if you understand that there's 7 billion people in this world, and 90% of these people are living in third world countries and living under $2 a day, I think if you understand that part, I think you find the courage to understand to see gratitude in your life. And I think that's just for me, being an immigrant, growing up in islands, living in America. There's not a day that I live in America I appreciate. Every single day I live here, I get to go to a grocery store anytime I want. I get to buy anything I want online. I get to have a car. I get to all my rights, all my freedoms I have on this first world country, all the opportunities I have to not only to expand my life, to pursue what I want for my life, for my goals and dreams. There's not a day, even the things I go through in my struggles, I do go through my struggles, but there's not a day I don't appreciate, because I know my life could be a lot worse, and I know there's people back home in the islands that could have wished. I have friends in the islands that wish they could be in my position right now. I have all these opportunities I have today, and for that I always try to see the positive to move on. And whenever I go through mental health problems, I just, like my parents, suck that shit up and move on. Because life can be better, but there's no point of dwelling in your problems and miserable your whole life and your whole day. I think that's just me. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on it. Just wanted to share for you, everybody out there on the live chat. Ladies, anything want to respond to that? If you disagree, it's okay. You can keep it real, though. I don't mind, but that's just my thoughts on the how I see mental health. Kaycie, what do you think? Quick
I will agree on how it all comes down to communicating, and that our parents didn't have that resource or that knowledge to but I was more targeting on why aren't we allowed to share how we feel, and why are we being it's kind of we're not allowed to share how we feel, because you're supposed to put on this persona that I got all my shit together and fuck you and I'm gonna go through this shit, when in reality we just want to vent and be I'm going through this shit. Sometimes it's good to communicate, but it always makes me feel when you do that, people just view you as oh, she weak. Did
your parents grow up in the islands before they came over here?
My parents are still on the island. I was more talking of because for me, I'm not a bitch. I will say sometimes I am. I will say what's on my mind. It don't matter if you're adult or not, because if it's wrong, I will tell you that it's wrong. Because some of the islanders are oh, I'm your auntie, you need to respect me. I'm no, I don't. Respect goes both ways. You have to earn that. Just because you have that title of being my aunt doesn't mean I'm supposed to respect you. I choose who I need to respect and what I gain from that.
Yeah.
But it's more of my cousins and my family, because it's hard to I can see that you're struggling, but you don't want to say shit.
So I think that's why I said that's why I brought up before. I think it's understanding that our parents come from a different time. Because when I talk to old school OG Pacific Islander the older generation, you have to understand they come from the islands. When in the islands, it's about survival. So for them is if you have food on the table, if you have a roof over your head, that's good for them. That's good enough for them. That's like considered happiness, I guess in our perspective. But for them is to have food, to have a roof over your head, and to be able to survive and move on the next day. In people in those type of countries and situations, for them that's like enough to live a quality of life. That's why for them is you can't understand why kids here in America who have all these things and still not be content or be happy about their life. But like I said, it's a different way of how they see their life. And then it doesn't. That just comes down to it is because I've had this conversation with my parents, and that's the same thing they told me. It was like, why are you complaining? You have food, you have shelter, because in their life, in their upbringing, that's how they had to survive. And I think for us is like we have these things, but it's a different way of how you see life. But I think that's one of the hardest things for them to understand is they just see it in a different perspective. You may try to explain it to them, but if you have a different perspective towards life, it's gonna be hard for them to see it your way. And I think for me is like they're never gonna understand our perspective because they have a different perspective, and that's okay. I think we just gotta come to a middle ground. You know what, Mom, Dad, I understand where you're coming from, but I'll just let you know this is how I feel. But I think there's a middle ground where we can just have the conversation to understand each other, but necessarily we don't. But we can still accept our parents and don't really have to change it, because if we try to change our parents, or I think that's where like they're confused because people are gonna be who they are. I think that's where the backlash is, or maybe the confusion, or maybe that's when the parents are like, I don't know what went wrong with my child. All right.
They just looked at me like, what are you talking about?
That's what, yeah. For me, once I understood that's how my parents saw it, I didn't really have I don't really talk about the things with them because I understand that's just they are, and I just accept that. I think we just have to set people out to change it, maybe. But anyways, yeah, we've come, ladies. That's a good topic to finish up the podcast. That was a great topic, Kaycie. Shout out to I see Jamali just jumping on real quick. Thank you so much, Jamali. I see Jamali. Oh, he said the way Alan Girl 4574 looking at me. LOL. Oh shit, damn. Jamali shooting his shot.
Yeah, you.
Hit me.
All right. All right. And yeah, Jay-Z, and then I think Jamali said they don't want to say shit but talk shit about others who will be struggling like them. Yeah. All right. Oh, no worries, Jamali. Thank you for coming on at the end. Nevertheless, we had some good conversation with these ladies. Thank you so much. I'll give a shout out to the ladies real quick. Shout out to the ladies for being part of tonight's podcast. We had some real unfiltered and raw conversations about dating, relationships, and then also we had a lot of conversations about the Pacific Islander community and culture, the things that we go through as Pacific Islanders. Shout out to the ladies. It was a great podcast. We had a different variety of different topics, different discussions, and I'm glad you guys were watching live tonight and being part of it as well. But ladies, we've come to the end. Can you give everybody your final thoughts on from tonight's podcast? Your final thoughts of what's your takeaway from tonight's discussion, and how can people find you? How can people find you, and so that way they can support you on the social media panels? And I'll start with you, Island Girl. I see there's a lot of love for you, Island Girl, on the chat. Jamari wants to find you, so go ahead and share your final thoughts.
Put my plug in real quick.
Share your final thoughts. And how can people find you?
No, I appreciate you. Thank you for creating this platform and letting us have a moment to talk and, put it out there. And Lou, thank you for sharing so openly. Like, I appreciate you so much and your energy. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for just like being honest and throwing it out there, even when there's difference of opinions. We appreciate it because all opinions, for me at least, it's like all knowledge is good knowledge. You can't take it away.
Jamali said, "Drop your snap real quick."
Oh my god!
My Insta at island_girl 4575. I accidentally typed it wrong. So 75 is my Insta. Same thing for my Twitter. All that good stuff. TikTok. All the things.
All right, no worries.
All that good stuff.
Hey, Alan Girl, if you do meet up with Jamar, you gotta get back on the podcast and let me know what happened.
We'll do a catch me later
recap.
You gotta do a recap with us.
Gotta do a recap.
All right, Jamali. I know you're Tongan, so hey, make us proud, brother. Make us proud, bro. Hold it down for the T's. anyways, shout out to you, Jamali, and shout out to you, Island Grove. I was enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for jumping on. Let me pass it to you, Kaycie. Kaycie, final thoughts and how can people find you?
Yes, I do enjoy having a conversation with you guys. I've learned so much, and I do want to say, Island Girl, you got your shit right. And to Lou, it takes a lot of courage to be open and willing to share what you've gone through. I very admire that. And thanks for on this podcast. Even though it was last minute, I just thought I was gonna come and watch. I did not know I was gonna be asked a lot of questions.
All right.
But I appreciate it. It's fun. I really had fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it's fun. Like, thank you so much, Kaycie. Thank you for jumping on last minute. And we had a good time and enjoyed the conversations and enjoyed your opinions. And I definitely enjoyed your love for Samoan men. Enjoyed that as well.
Never living it down.
But hey, that's why I make these conversations fun, right? That's what makes it fun. All right, but nevertheless, let me pass it to you, Lou. Lou, final thoughts. Thank you for sharing your story tonight. Appreciate that. And
Absolutely.
How can people find you?
First and foremost, thank you, Will, for having me on here. I'm glad I took a chance to just come on here and share my story. It was great meeting you, Island Girl and Kaycie. Thank you guys for sharing your opinions and everything. Everybody that's on the live, most of them were my family. Shout out to you guys.
Hey.
But yeah, this was a great experience. Thank you for having this podcast. I do watch some of your podcasts, like on TikTok and YouTube. But the main thing that I did learn, that I took from this was like just being understanding, because that's what I learned in the past year. You have to be understanding with people, whether it's your parents that are very cultural, whether it's your friends, whether it's your significant other, just to have an open mind and an open heart to be understanding of their situation, putting yourself into their shoes, and not so much, because I'm a very stubborn person, but I've learned to, from my healing and all that, like just to put myself into someone else's shoes and try to learn to understand them, because just like in a relationship, you got to learn to understand your partner, learn to love them, all their ways, all their good and their bads, right? Because that's the only way it's going to work out. And just like I said, 100 and it's going to work out, communication and all that. But shout out to my Chukis and Ponapean people, Micronesian, Raranim, Kaselel. Much love to you guys. Will, thank you so much for this platform. And you can find me on Instagram, LML Music. It's right there. And yep, much love to everybody.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Lou. All right, and to everybody in the live chat, thank you so much, everybody in the live chat, for taking the time to be part of this podcast. I appreciate your opinions. Whether we agree or disagree, that's the part of the podcast we have. Open conversation, dialogue, and try to understand each other. Ladies, definitely enjoyed your opinions and your hot topics and your hot takes tonight. It made me I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining, also very knowledgeable. I learned some things from you guys. So thank you so much. And we do this every single Friday. So everybody that's watching for the first time, especially for all the new folks that's on the podcast for the first time, don't forget, if you love the content, definitely press that like, subscribe button real quick, because you get notification. We do go live every single week. I'll definitely drop the links for all these beautiful ladies below, so that way they can she can support them and follow them. And I know Jamali, you definitely want to get the links. I see Jamali said, I got someone in me too. LMS. Oh, sorry. And he said, I'm all that. I'm all okay. Damn, brother. Okay.
He said the whole package.
He said the whole package, Island Girl.
Yeah, you.
So we'll hope everything works out for y'all, but we'll see. I'll be optimistic.
He said, let me slide.
Typical.
We'll find out. Next time we come on the podcast, we will definitely get a recap
On the next episode, nah.
Let us know.
You'll find out in the next episode on Dragon Ball Z. All right, but ladies, you have a great night. Thank you so much for taking your time to be part of tonight. Enjoyed it. You guys have a blessed night. All right, ladies. Peace, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right.